My wife didn't just betray me, she did it with the one man I trusted most. But while their lies tangled them up, I built something real, line by line, key by key. Under the quiet hum of his computer, Gavin Porter sat bathed in blue light, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. Code was his refuge, clean, logical, unbreakable. And as $42,000 lit up his screen, one thing became clear. While they crumbled, he thrived. They say some storms don't come with thunder. Sometimes they drift in quiet, cold, and leave you soaked before you even notice the sky's gone dark. Gavin Porter was a man of quiet victories. At 38, he had carved out a name for himself in the digital world, not with noise, but precision. In his modest home office, tucked behind the kitchen of their two-story colonial, he thrived in the silence that came with lines of code and the rhythm of logical thought. The world might not see it, but in his corner of the universe, he was an architect of order. His mind moved like a clean stream over stones, always solving, always building. That night, as the soft blue glow of his monitor lit his face, a new notification pinged. Another client satisfied. Another wire transfer, $42,000, 0 cents. Gavin barely smiled. The money mattered, yes, but what stirred his soul was the way his solution clicked into place. Like tuning a piano just right. Then came the slam of the front door. It was 7:30 p.m. sharp. Lily was home. He saved his work, pushed back his chair, and padded down the hallway in his socked feet. "Hey, honey," he called softly. "How was your day?" Lily stood by the door, heels kicked off with a little too much force. Her blazer was sharp, her skirt seamless, but her face? Her face told another story. Tight lips, distant eyes. "Fine," she snapped, without even looking up. Gavin blinked, thrown off by the chill in her voice. "Everything okay?" he asked gently, stepping closer. She brushed past him like he wasn't even there. "Just tired. Long day at the office," she said, making a beeline for the kitchen. He followed slowly, uncertain. She yanked open the fridge, grabbed the bottle of white wine, her favorite, and poured herself a glass that leaned toward reckless. "Want to talk about it?" Gavin asked, leaning against the counter. "Not really," she muttered before taking a long drink. Then she looked at him, eyes narrowing. "You've been holed up in that office again, haven't you?" Gavin shrugged. "Yeah, big project, but it's done now. Client's thrilled." She rolled her eyes, bitterness dripping from every syllable. "Great. Another day of you hunched over that damn screen while I'm out in the real world." That one stung. He swallowed it down, keeping his voice calm. "My work is real, Lily. Just because I do it from home doesn't make it worthless." "Whatever," she said, draining her glass and turning away. She brushed past again, and that's when he caught it. A scent, subtle but sharp, not her perfume, not his cologne. Someone else. Unfamiliar, expensive, masculine. Gavin froze. A slow, cold knot formed in his gut. The kind you can't explain away. The kind that whispers louder than any words ever could. And in that moment, in his quiet kitchen under dim lights, something inside him shifted. The storm hadn't struck yet, but he could feel it coming. They say betrayal doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers through doorways, clings to borrowed cologne, and lingers in the air like a storm that hasn't broken yet. Gavin Porter felt that whisper long before he ever heard the words. He didn't know how to name it then, but it settled in the pit of his stomach, cold and unwelcome. It started with a scent, faint, musky, unfamiliar. Not Lily's perfume, not anything Gavin wore. Something else. A few weeks passed, and he kept noticing it. On her scarf, in the car, woven into the fibers of her coat. The unease began as a low hum, and slowly grew louder. But Gavin, ever the rational one, told himself it was nothing. Maybe her coworkers wore fancy cologne. Maybe it was all in his head. He buried himself in his work, hoping the distance would shrink if he just kept showing up, kept being dependable. He finished another software rollout, answered client emails at all hours, and told himself that the next successful deal might put things right again. But at home, the silence between him and Lily had grown so wide, he feared even shouting couldn't reach her. One night, a text lit up his screen. "James, hey man, drinks tonight? Been too long?" James Miles, Gavin's best friend since college. the best man at his wedding, the godfather to their non-existent kids. Flashy, bold, and unapologetically successful in real estate, James was everything Gavin was not. And still, they'd remained close over the years. "Sure," Gavin replied, "the usual place at 8. He stepped out of his office, finding Lily on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "I'm heading out to meet James," he said casually. "Want to come?" She looked up, startled. "Oh, no, I'm good. You two have fun." "You sure?" he asked, sensing something in her tone. "I said I'm fine." Then, softer, "Really, go ahead." At Al's pub, James greeted him like no time had passed. "Gavin, my man," he said, slapping his back and grinning ear to ear. Gavin smiled, sliding onto the bar stool. "How's the real estate world treating you?" James launched into a tale of sky-high profits and downtown investments, but Gavin's mind drifted. He thought of the tidy sum sitting in his own account, earned with no flash, just quiet persistence. Still, he never bragged about it. That wasn't his way. "Earth to Gavin," James teased, waving a hand. "You with me, buddy?" Gavin shook off his thoughts. "Sorry, just distracted." James's face softened. "Everything okay? You seem, I don't know, off." Gavin took a long pull of his beer. "It's Lily," he confessed. "Things have been off for a while now. I can't do anything right in her eyes." James nodded slowly. "Yeah, she mentioned you guys were having some issues." Gavin blinked. "She talked to you about us?" James shrugged. "Just in passing. At the gym or something? I didn't want to pry." That quiet hum of suspicion roared back into Gavin's ears. The gym? When had Lily ever mentioned seeing James outside their circle of friends? Later that night, Gavin returned home to a dark house, the air heavy with something unspoken. Lily sat up in bed, her face unreadable in the dim light. "Have a good time?" she asked flatly. "Yeah," Gavin said, toeing off his shoes. "You should have come." Her laugh was dry. "Right, because I'd love to listen to you two talk about server speeds and cloud storage." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," she said. "Just go to sleep, Gavin." The next morning, Gavin found her in the kitchen, already dressed and sipping coffee. Her eyes didn't meet his. "Lily," he said quietly, "we need to talk." She set her mug down, cold and composed. "About what?" "About us. About what's happening." Her laugh was sharper this time, cutting. "You don't know what's happening?" "No," he said honestly, "so tell me." She stared at him. "I'm bored, Gavin. I'm suffocating. Every day is the same. You, hunched over a computer, acting like life is some line of code. I'm out there, seeing the world, and we're stuck in this mediocrity." Gavin recoiled as if she'd struck him. "I've built a life, a business. I work hard. And what do we have to show for it?" she snapped. "When was the last time we went on vacation? Or did anything exciting? You won't even spend money on yourself, let alone me." "I didn't realize that's what mattered most to you," Gavin said quietly. "It's not just about money," Lily said, eyes flashing. "It's about living. And you've settled for less." He looked at her, suddenly seeing the truth stretch across her face like a map. "Is there someone else?" She faltered, the air thick with her silence. Then, barely above a whisper, "No. But I've thought about it." Gavin's breath caught in his throat, the pieces slammed together. James's avoidance, the cologne, the gym. "It's James," he said. Her silence screamed the truth. Something inside Gavin shifted. No rage, just a cold, clear understanding. "Then I think," he said, voice steady, "you should leave." "What?" she gasped. "But I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," Gavin said, voice low. "You meant every word. And you know what? You're right. You deserve happiness. But so do I. And I won't find it with someone who doesn't respect the life we built." Tears welled in her eyes. Are you saying you want a divorce?" Gavin stood tall, heart pounding like a war drum. "I think that might be for the best. Don't you?" The weeks that followed the divorce were not marked by time but by survival. Days bled into nights as Gavin drifted through a fog of paperwork, phone calls, and muted grief. He didn't cry, he coded. He didn't scream, he solved. And when Lily came to collect her things, taking half the house and all the softness, he said nothing. He simply stood in the doorway, arms folded, watching her carry away what once was love and now was just furniture. It wasn't until the divorce papers came in the mail, real, final, legal, that the weight of it all finally landed. Gavin sat at his kitchen table, the place where birthdays were once celebrated, where Sunday waffles were devoured with sleepy smiles. He stared at the document like it might dissolve if he looked hard enough. But it didn't. And so with a steady hand he signed his name. No shaking, no second thoughts, only a quiet exhale as the pen left the paper. There, done. He slid the papers into an envelope and laid them gently on the counter. Tomorrow, he'd mail them. Tonight, he had work to do. Back in his office, Gavin opened his laptop. The screen flickered to life, bathing the room in the same familiar blue glow that had seen him through college, a dozen client launches, and now, heartbreak. Here, among the logic of code and the rhythm of algorithms, he felt safe. The world might be chaos, but code was poetry. Predictable, elegant, honest. By sunrise, he'd completed a revolutionary data optimization tool for a major client. A notification appeared. Incoming transfer, $38,000.00. Gavin blinked at the number, then allowed himself the smallest smile. He'd lost a marriage, lost his best friend, but this, his craft, his mind, his integrity, this was still his. 6 months passed. The ache didn't vanish, but it dulled. Gavin lived in quiet rhythm, wake, work, sleep. No noise, no color. Until one evening, a text from his lawyer pierced the silence. FYI, Lily and James just filed their marriage license. Gavin's jaw tightened. He'd known this day would come, but somehow seeing it in writing stung sharper than he expected. He tossed the phone aside, unwilling to let it win. He turned back to his screen, his safe place, and typed through the pain. That night his mother called. Susan Porter, sweet and persistent as springtime. Gavin, honey, her voice crackled gently through the receiver. How are you doing? I'm fine, Susan, he replied, calling her by her first name like he always did when he didn't want her to worry. Just busy. I heard about Lily and James, she said hesitantly. She married him, yes, he said, curt. They deserve each other. Susan was quiet for a beat. Then, with soft insistence, I'm worried about you, sweetheart. You work too much. When was the last time you went out? Met someone new? Gavin sighed, rubbing his temples. Susan, I appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. I've got my career. That's enough. Oh, Gavin. Her voice cracked with motherly ache. That's not all there is. You have so much to offer. Promise me you'll try to live a little. He didn't want to argue, so he agreed. I'll think about it. And to his own surprise, he did. A few days later, Gavin found himself standing awkwardly at a local tech meetup, holding a lukewarm beer and questioning every life choice that brought him there. He lingered by the snack table, shoulders hunched, eyes scanning for the exit, when a voice beside him cut through the noise. First time? He turned to see a woman about his age, her dark hair in a messy bun, her smile easy and kind. Is it that obvious? Gavin asked with a sheepish grin. Only to a fellow first-timer, she said, extending a hand. I'm Emma. Gavin, he replied, shaking it. What brings you here? He chuckled. Honestly, my mother thinks I need to get out more. Emma laughed, a warm, unguarded sound. Well, they say mothers know best. Or they're just relentless, Gavin muttered, earning another laugh. They started talking about data encryption, startup culture, the best debugging tools. It wasn't electric or cinematic. It was better, real, easy. When the event ended, Gavin hesitated. This was nice, he said, surprised to hear himself mean it. Would you want to grab coffee sometime? You know, continue our discussion on cybersecurity? Emma smiled, wide and genuine. I'd like that. Here, give me your phone. As she typed in her number, something stirred in Gavin's chest. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. In the months that followed, coffee turned into weekly walks, tech talk into movie nights, and guarded smiles into belly laughs. Emma didn't ask too many questions, but she never made him feel like he had to pretend. She liked him. Not the successful coder or the divorce survivor, but him. Just Gavin. One crisp evening, as they strolled through a park painted in gold and crimson leaves, Emma looked over at him. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. I really enjoy spending time with you, Gavin, but sometimes it feels like you're holding something back. Is there something I should know?" He exhaled, long and slow. "I'm divorced. It's been about a year. She left me for my best friend." Emma didn't flinch. She just nodded, listening. "Thought it'd crush me," Gavin continued. "But oddly enough, saying it out loud doesn't hurt as much anymore." Emma reached for his hand. "Thank you for telling me. That must have been incredibly difficult." "It was, but I'm trying to move forward." "Well," she smiled gently, "from where I'm standing, you're doing a pretty good job." And for the first time in a long time, Gavin believed her. Months melted into one another as Gavin's life settled into something calm, something almost sweet. His business bloomed, clients came knocking without him even needing to market, and Emma, steady, curious, brilliant Emma, was no longer a comforting distraction but a genuine partner. Together, they'd built a quiet kind of joy, the kind forged not in grand declarations but in shared dinners, late-night coding sessions, and laughter over broken IKEA furniture. On a crisp spring morning, nearly 2 years after the day his marriage unraveled, Gavin's past arrived uninvited. He was grabbing coffee before a meeting when he heard a voice he hadn't heard in nearly 2 years. "Gavin, is that you?" He turned slowly. There stood Lily. The woman who once shattered his world now looked small. No designer heels, no dramatic makeup, just a plain blouse and tired eyes. "Hello, Lily," Gavin said evenly. His voice was calm, his heartbeat steady. He was surprised by his own stillness. "How have you been?" she asked, eyes darting. "Can't complain. Work's good, life's good." There was a silence, the heavy kind, full of things unsaid. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything." Gavin paused. The old Gavin might have let those words gut him, might have begged for answers, but that man was gone. This man stood taller, not weighed down by her anymore. "I hope you found what you were looking for," he said simply. She didn't answer. Back at home, Emma was chopping vegetables for dinner when she turned to him. "I was thinking," she said casually, "my lease is up next month, and I spend most nights here anyway, so should we make this official?" Gavin blinked, then smiled. "I'd love that." She moved in within the month. As they unpacked the last of her books, Gavin felt it deep in his chest. This was peace. This was home. But peace has a way of testing its foundation. A few weeks later, an email arrived from none other than James. Subject: Urgent business opportunity. Gavin hovered over delete, but curiosity won. James was in trouble. His development project was collapsing. He needed Gavin's software expertise. Badly. Emma walked in, caught the look on his face. "Ghost from the past?" He showed her the message. "Part of me wants to ignore it," he admitted. Emma, ever the wise one, shrugged. "Then don't do it for him, do it for you. Show them you've moved on. Show them you're stronger." He emailed back with strict terms. Full autonomy, upfront payment, and a clear project outline. He didn't need their chaos, but he wouldn't run from it either. Weeks later, Gavin sat across from James at a downtown cafe. The man across from him looked aged, sleepless, unshaven. "Thanks for this," James muttered. "Let's keep it professional," Gavin replied. Over the next hour, James laid out a development plan in ruins. Gavin listened, assessed, and eventually agreed to help, on his terms. Contracts were signed, timelines drawn. Months passed. Gavin built a custom software suite that salvaged the project. Costs dropped, efficiency soared. Emma brought him tea as he coded late into the night. Life was full, not of memories, but of movement. Then came the gala. A swanky charity event, black tie, full of networking and silent auctions. Gavin wore a tailored suit. Emma dazzled in midnight blue. They mingled, smiled, sipped champagne, until Gavin felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned. "Lily." "I didn't expect to see you here," she murmured. "Lily." It's been a while. Emma stepped forward. Hi, I'm Emma, Gavin's partner. Lily's smile faltered. Nice to meet you. Are you here with James? Billy's eyes flickered. No, he couldn't make it. Before more could be said, the entrance burst into chaos. James stumbled in, tuxedo half-buttoned, clearly drunk. Lily, there you are. The crowd quieted. Gavin instinctively stepped in front of Emma. James, maybe you should head home. James waved him off, laughing. Home? Nah, I came to celebrate. He staggered closer, slurring. You know what, Gavin? You always make it look easy. Success, money, love. You've got it all figured out. Meanwhile, He trailed off, then smirked. You want to know a secret? That project you saved? It was doomed from the start. I cut corners, fudged reports. Even now, it's all built on sand. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lily froze. What are you talking about? She whispered. James turned to her, sneering. You were too busy spending money we didn't have. Gavin's voice cut through. That's enough, James. Go home. James roared. You think you're better than me. She never loved you, Gavin. She used you. Just like she used me. Then came the swing. Wild. Sloppy. Gavin sidestepped. James crashed into a table, glasses shattering. Security rushed in. Lily stood frozen in shame. Gavin turned to Emma. You okay? She nodded, wide-eyed. Then Lily stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Gavin, I'm so sorry. He looked at her, really looked. Lily, he said gently, go home, take care of yourself. She nodded, voice cracking. Then she disappeared into the crowd. Emma squeezed his hand. Want to get out of here? Gavin looked around the glittering room, then down at the woman beside him. More than anything. And they walked out together, not just from the gala, but from the shadows of the past, into the light of a future they'd built by hand, by heart, and by choice. Later that night, Gavin and Emma sat quietly on their balcony, the city humming beneath them. The chaos of the gala, James's drunken spiral, Lily's broken expression, had finally faded into silence. Emma rested her head on Gavin's shoulder. Are you okay? He nodded slowly. Yeah. For the first time in a long time, I think I'm really free. 6 months passed. The project Gavin had poured himself into was now a thriving success. Emma's laughter filled their home, along with the scent of fresh croissants she insisted on perfecting. Business boomed, love blossomed, and the past, once sharp and bitter, had dulled to a quiet memory. James and Lily's downfall had made headlines. Fraud, bankruptcy, disgrace. But Gavin felt no satisfaction. Only a strange, calm detachment. Their collapse didn't vindicate him. It reminded him of the path he'd chosen to leave behind. One evening, Gavin's phone rang, an unknown number. On instinct, he answered. Gavin, it's Lily. Her voice was faint. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, and I hope you're well. He listened, then said gently, I hope you find your way, Lily. It was all. Emma found him moments later, glass of wine in hand. You okay? He smiled, pulling her close. Yeah, I really am. The city lights flickered around them, but Gavin wasn't looking back. The past was over. The road ahead, uncertain, but his. And somewhere in the hush-between moments, with Emma's hand in his, he knew this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. If Gavin's journey spoke to something in you about healing, resilience, or the power of starting over, don't keep that feeling to yourself. Tell us what part of his story moved you the most in the comments below. And if you want more powerful real-life stories like this one, filled with heartbreak, courage, and redemption, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Every week we dive into the kind of family drama that makes you think, makes you feel, and maybe even helps you grow. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the end of one chapter is just the start of something better.